For the past 20 years of my life, I have always had a fascination for Japanese content, whether it was through anime, video games, or just the scenery of the country. I would always find myself drawn to the culture. Yet, despite being so involved with Japanese media, there was always this uneasy feeling I couldn't get rid of. This feeling of disconnect. There was something missing between me and the content that I've grown up on. For whatever reason, I could never put my finger on it, but I felt like there was something I could do to find out, so I thought to myself, maybe I should learn Japanese. And after these past 50 days, I think I get it now. Knowing how to start was the hardest part. Not because I lacked the motivation, but because the amount of bad resources wasn't just abundant, but also extremely popular. After spending weeks watching Japanese Pod 101 and trying out Duolingo, I felt myself not getting anywhere, and I was beginning to lose my drive. Learning Japanese, something I was so excited for, began to feel like a chore, and I was ready to give up. Until I came across this video.
Hey guys, so the sheer raw number of hours you spend with a language is by far the greatest predictor to how quickly you're going to be making those language learning gains.
Matt vs. Japan is a YouTuber who was able to obtain a native level of Japanese through anime alone. But is that really possible?
So I became fluent in Japanese by listening to Japanese for thousands and thousands of hours. That's how I became fluent.
We were born and raised in Japan, and we've never been abroad.
How did you learn English?
Having fun with the language you want to speak. That's important because the moment you open your textbook and start learning, it gets boring.
The more I looked into it, the more I heard the same results. Learning a language isn't achieved through textbooks and grammar studies. It's about seeing a pattern in speech and building a foundation around that. After learning this, something in me lit up, and now I was more excited than ever because now I was going to do this the right way. I began by downloading the most essential tools to help me look up, record, and save words that I didn't know on the fly. The programs I used were Anki, Yomi-chan, and ASB Player. With Yomi-chan, I could hover over any word and see a direct translation for that word, and turn that into a flashcard. With ASB Player, I was able to translate text from videos and instantly attach an audio clip and screenshot to my flashcards. All of these flashcards were being sent to a software called Anki. Anki uses a spaced repetition system that makes you go over cards you struggle with more frequent than cards you've mastered. While you can learn a language by immersing through content alone, I found that these tools accelerated my progress faster than I have ever achieved before. If you're looking on how to set them up yourself, I left a link to all the videos that were the biggest help to me. But with that all out of the way, came week 1. On the first day, I had no idea what I was doing. Every second that went by, I would pause the video, make a flashcard for a word I didn't know, and repeat over and over until the episode ended. By the end of a 20-minute episode, 2 hours have gone by. It was getting boring again, but this time I was determined, so I kept doing the same thing every day for that week. By the end of the second week, I definitely noticed some progress. I was finally understanding basic sentences when before I couldn't even remember the difference between basic characters. This was actually working. I began feeling the sense of fulfillment I've never had before and had full confidence that anyone can do this. On average, I would make around 70 flashcards, and on a good day, it would be around 140. But despite all the progress I made, there was still something holding me back. By week 3, I was burnt out. Episodes just took too long to go through, and pausing constantly made what I watched just boring. So I tried something different. I started watching anime I have never seen before and only made flashcards that felt like were being repeated the most or were emphasized by the characters. And this made a big difference. I was enjoying what I watched. Yeah, I didn't understand every single detail, but I knew enough to get the gist of it. My engagement didn't feel forced for the first time, and I actually watched multiple episodes just because I was into it. And By the time I was done, I went to Anki to see how many cards I added that day. It ended up being the most productive day I've ever had learning Japanese. Around this time, I realized something. Motivation is something that will give us the drive to start something. Discipline will help us stay on track, but both of those things are so easy to lose grasp of if we aren't forced to do what we want. That's why so many people give up. But there are ways to enjoy what we want to achieve. We just have to figure it out. And when we do, we'll get there. Over the course of these last 3 weeks, I've continued to watch as much anime as I can, and my Japanese kept improving at a steady rate. And after these 50 days, I finally understand why I always had that feeling of uneasiness between me and the Japanese content. While Japanese to English translations are pretty good, they were never really enough. A translation will always just be an interpretation of what someone else tries to communicate. To fully appreciate the shows I watched, the games I played, and the music I'd listened to, I needed to comprehend what these stories, songs, and games actually expressed. I didn't want the weight of Japanese expression being limited to the boundaries of my understanding. Learning how another group of people convey thoughts and emotions has given me a wider mind, and if you're someone who doesn't know a second language, I highly recommend picking one up to see what I mean. So yeah, that was my journey to learning Japanese. I still have a long way to go, and maybe in the future I'll make an update video, but this is my first real video, so let me know how you guys think I did in the comments. I don't know how to promote, I'm sorry. But yeah, consider subscribing and go watch me on Twitch if you want to see me be bad at video games.